The grand lobby of the Blackwood Manor Hotel felt like stepping back in time. Ornate chandeliers cast a warm, golden glow on the dark wood paneling and velvet furniture. It was famous for two things: its impeccable preservation of Victorian charm, and the ghost stories that clung to its walls like ivy. I was here for both. My goal was to spend a night in its most notoriously haunted room, if they'd let me. At the check-in desk, a young clerk with tired eyes went through the motions. He found my reservation, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the keyboard. "Welcome to the Blackwood, sir. Just for one night?" he asked, his voice flat. "That's right," I said, trying to sound casual. I was hoping for a room with a bit of character. Something with a story. A flicker of something annoyance. Fear crossed his face. He looked down at his screen, then back at a rack of old-fashioned brass keys behind him. He hesitated, his hand hovering over one particular key. "Well," he said slowly, "we do have one room available. Not many people ask for it." He plucked the key from the hook. The tag hanging from it was simple, engraved with 2 digits. 1, 3. Room Tressé. A thrill went through me. "Perfect," I said, a little too eagerly. He slid the key across the polished counter without making eye contact. "3rd floor. The elevator is to your left. Enjoy your stay." The last part sounded more like a warning than a wish. The elevator was a cage of wrought iron and creaking cables, slowly hauling me upwards. The hallway on the 3rd floor was long and silent, the thick carpet swallowing the sound of my footsteps. 10, 11, 12, and there it was, at the very end of the hall. Room 13, the brass number on the door was tarnished, darker than the others. I slid the heavy key into the lock. It turned with a satisfying, solid click. The room inside was surprisingly normal. A large 4-poster bed, a heavy oak wardrobe, a single window looking out over the misty hotel grounds. It was clean, if a little dated. I dropped my bag on the luggage rack and looked around, a little disappointed. It felt just like any other old hotel room. I decided to unpack and then explore the hotel a bit before nightfall. As I hung my coat in the wardrobe, I noticed a small, leather-bound book on the desk. It was the hotel directory. I flipped through the pages, curious about the history. It detailed the hotel's construction, famous guests, and amenities. Then I turned to the floor plans. 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. I scanned the layout, tracing the hallway I'd just walked down. Room 10, 11, 12. And then the hall ended. It just ended. Where am I? Room 13 should have been. The diagram showed a solid wall. I blinked, tracing the lines again with my finger. According to the hotel's own official directory, the room I was standing in did not exist. My heart started to beat a little faster. This was more like it. Was it a misprint? A deliberate omission? I grabbed the directory and my key and walked back out into the hallway, closing the door behind me. I looked at the diagram, then looked down the hall. Room 12 was there, and next to it, the door to room 13 was still there, solid and real. The tarnished 13 seemed to mock me. A chill that had nothing to do with the drafty corridor crept up my spine. My logical mind was racing, trying to find an explanation. Maybe the directory was old, from before a renovation, but the hotel prided itself on being unchanged. I took a deep breath. There was only one way to figure this out. I had to go back inside. I walked back to the door, my hand shaking slightly as I put the key in the lock again. The click echoed louder, this time in the silent hall. I pushed the door open and stepped inside for the 2nd time, and I froze. It was the same room, but it wasn't. The 4-poster bed was still there, but now the dark wood was intricately carved with faces that seemed to grimace in the dim light. The wardrobe in the corner looked taller, more imposing, its doors slightly ajar. And the window. The window was gone. In its place was a solid brick wall, as if it had never been there at all. I backed up against the door, my hand fumbling for the handle. My mind was screaming that this was impossible. Rooms don't just change. I glanced at the desk where the hotel directory had been. The book was gone. In its place sat a single, yellowed photograph in a silver frame. I cautiously walked over to it. The photo was of a family from what looked like the early 1900s. A stern-faced man, a sedate woman, and a little girl holding a doll. They were posing in this very room. I recognized the wallpaper, the bed. But in the photo, there was a window behind them, the one that was now a brick wall, and the little girl. Her eyes seemed to follow me. I felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of being watched. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of dust and something else. Something vaguely sweet, like faded perfume. I turned away from the photo, my eyes scanning the room again, desperately trying to anchor myself to reality. That's when I noticed the wallpaper. Before, it had been a simple, faded floral pattern. Now, as I looked closer, I could see shapes within the design. Faces, dozens of them, pale and indistinct, their expressions twisted in agony, their silent mouths open as if screaming. They were part of the pattern, woven into the vines and flowers. Had they been there before? How could I have missed them? Primera basket Hawaii. Stumbling over the corner of the rug, my breath hitched in my throat. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. The silence was no longer empty. It was full, pressing in on me, charged with a waiting energy. Then I heard it, a faint sound, like a child humming a nursery rhyme. It was soft, almost too quiet to be real, and it seemed to be coming from the wardrobe. The heavy oak doors were still slightly ajar. My blood ran cold. Every instinct told me to run, to get out of that room and never look back. But I was paralyzed, rooted to the spot. The humming grew a little louder, a simple, looping melody that was both innocent and deeply unsettling. I had to know what was in there. With trembling legs, I took a step towards the wardrobe, then another. The ancient wood seemed to groan as I reached out and slowly pulled one of the doors open wider. Inside, hanging among the empty hangers, was a small, white child's dress. It was old-fashioned, made of lace and linen, the kind a little girl in the photograph might have worn. It swayed gently, as if caught in a breeze, even though the air in the room was completely still. The humming stopped. The sudden silence was even worse. I stared at the dress, mesmerized and horrified. And then, from the darkest corner of the wardrobe, I saw a pair of eyes. They were wide and dark, reflecting the dim light of the room. They weren't angry or menacing. They were just watching me, waiting. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The room was changing, shifting around me, the wallpaper faces swirling. Or was it me? Was this hotel, this impossible room, changing me? And the most terrifying thought of all, what would I become if I stayed? Thanks for watching. If you have your own unexplained hotel stories, share them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. Stay safe out there.